Stop what you're doing because what you're about to hear could go down as the single greatest White House scandal in modern American history. Guys, breaking just a few moments ago, Congressman James Comer has officially blown the lid off of a forged signature operation inside of Joe Biden's White House. This is one that's now under full-scale criminal investigation by President Trump's Department of Justice. Guys, we're talking about thousands of executive orders and pardons allegedly authorized using fake Autopen signatures, while Biden was checked out at the Delaware home and possibly mentally unfit to govern. So James Comer says it's worse than Watergate. And folks, he might be right, because this isn't just about shady paperwork. This is about who was really running America and why they were in such a rush to pardon Joe Biden's family, allies like Dr. Anthony Fauci and Liz Cheney, and slap executive orders into law in the final hours of Biden's presidency. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you guys exactly what James Comer just revealed, the explosive new moves from President Trump's DOJ, and the shocking evidence that does suggest that Joe Biden's own staff may have been pulling the strings the entire time without him even knowing about it. So is this elder abuse? Was the Constitution hijacked by unelected insiders? And what happens to all of Biden's decisions if the courts decide that these documents were never legally signed? Well, stick with me, guys, because what's coming up next may shake the foundation of former President Joe Biden's presidency, and it may trigger a massive total legal meltdown in Washington, D.C. So let's go ahead and get started with what just detonated inside of the Department of Justice, because, guys, this isn't just a leak or some rumor. This is an official criminal investigation. By the way, if you appreciate the news updates, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I totally appreciate you guys. Really, I really do. So President Trump's DOJ has now formally launched a full-scale probe into President Joe Biden's Autopen scandal. And yes, they are using the exact language behind closed doors, that exact same language. So what's the focus, right? Well, whether thousands of presidential pardons and executive orders were signed using a mechanical device without Joe Biden's awareness, consent, or cognitive capacity. So in short, layman's terms, right? Were Joe Biden's signatures faked? That's the real question here. And here's where it gets really freaking wild. At the heart of this investigation, you got a man named Ed Martin. Anybody heard of Ed Martin? Well, you may remember that name because he was nearly installed as the Attorney General of Washington, D.C., but he was blocked by Rhino senators just 2 weeks ago. Well, guess what? That didn't stop him, because Ed Martin is now the chief pardon attorney inside Trump's DOJ, and he's just unleashed a direct order for a full forensic review of over 8,000 pardons signed during President Biden's final days in office. 8,000, guys. So according to these internal DOJ emails leaked to Reuters and ultimately confirmed by multiple sources, the investigation will determine, quote, whether Joe Biden was competent and whether others were taking advantage of him through the use of Autopen or other means, end quote. Translation, guys, they're probing whether a sitting U.S. president was functionally a puppet and if his staffers were using his name literally to ram through controversial orders and protect themselves. And you're going to want to stick around, because in just a minute, I'm going to break down exactly who got these pardons, why some people believe that Joe Biden had no clue he was even signing them, and the absolutely jaw-dropping move James Comer just made to force this investigation in overdrive. Real quick, guys, do you think Joe Biden was completely aware of what was going on, or do you think they were using an Autopen without Joe Biden's knowledge or approval? Let me know in the comments. But first, we need to talk about what Congressman James Comer just confirmed on live TV and how that oversight committee is now about to crack this case wide open. Making smart money moves does not stop at retirement, guys. Leslie Taylor, she made one phone call to Chapter and now saves $1,000 a year. That's incredible, right? But it gets better. Julie from Kansas got scammed by a local broker and was paying more to see her own doctor. Chapter stepped in, and now she's saving $400 a year. Guys, Medicare decisions shouldn't cost you peace of mind or your savings. Give our friends at Chapter a call right now at 909-563-8279, or better yet, hit them up on the web at askchapter.org/Ron. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment or in the description down below. It's totally free, by the way. Totally free. Just call them up and say, hey, Ron told me to reach out to you guys. How much money can I save? Yeah, it's that simple. So guess who exposed all of this fraud? Congressman James Comer did. And what he's uncovered, it makes this look less like a presidency and a whole lot more like a weekend at Bernie's operations. So James Comer just confirmed that White House staffers and Biden's personal physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, have been given a very clear ultimatum: testify voluntarily or get subpoenaed. No more games. But here's the kicker, guys. They've started cooperating. 4 staffers are already scheduled to transcribe interviews any day now. But Comer, he didn't stop there. He actually revealed that they've identified the exact staffers who physically placed the documents into the Autopen machine and then pushed a button. Yeah, crazy. So think about that, guys. These were not just interns making copies. These were deliberate acts to simulate the authority of the president of the United States. You can't make this stuff. You cannot make this stuff up. And it gets even more suspicious when you look at when it all happened. So, according to James Comer, former President Joe Biden's final 100 days in office saw more executive actions than in the previous 3.5 years combined. Now, for those of you guys who've been following this channel for more than 6 months, you know exactly how much we were covering the number of pardons that were coming through. And we were questioning it then. Like, we knew it was off. The volume of pardons that were coming through was just crazy. And then, of course, you remember the fact that Biden said he would never pardon his son. That came through. The number of pardons were unreal. Let me say it again, guys. More policy, more pardons, more sweeping orders in the last 100 days than during the entire rest of his presidency. Meanwhile, Biden, he was spending most of that time in Delaware. So who was in the White House signing all this stuff? I tell you what, it wasn't Joe. And now for the chilling detail, guys. A growing number of these documents show the same exact machine-printed Autopen signature. But there's just one, that looks a little off. So according to James Comer's team, the last name looks distorted. Kind of like the person signing it was struggling to write or even spell their own name. Could this have been a failed attempt by Joe Biden himself to sign something while not in full control of his faculties? Well, James Comer seems to think so. And if it's true, it raises the most disturbing question yet. Was the president of the United States being used as a prop to justify decisions he never even authorized? So stick with me, guys, because we're going to go ahead and name names. Are you guys... Put names in the comments if you guys are ready for me to name some names, drop some names for you guys, okay? So you guys are about to hear exactly who James Comer says was really in charge, including one figure you'll never expect and why this all may trace all the way back to Jill Biden herself. So, all right, guys, here's where things go from bad to completely unthinkable. If Joe Biden wasn't the one authorizing pardons, signing orders, or even present in the White House, then who was running the country, right? Well, Congressman James Comer gave a name, and this name drop is literally sending shockwaves across Washington. And it's not just one person. It's a shadow team, a cabal of handlers, many of whom never faced a single vote from the American people. Axios and oversight whistleblowers have already confirmed the following names were in daily control of Joe Biden's schedule, policy sign-offs, and even his access to information. Jill Biden, yes, the First Lady Jill Biden, Anthony Bernal, Jill Biden's chief of staff, described as the real gatekeeper. Then you got Mike Donnellan, who was Biden's senior advisor, Annie Tomasini, deputy chief of staff, Bruce Reed, White House deputy chief of staff, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, Biden's physician. Guys, these are the people who, according to insiders, saw Biden the most and had the final say in what he did and what he didn't. Now, think about this for a second, right? While Biden was allegedly mentally checked out, possibly unfit to govern, his unelected circle was using his name and office to push their own agenda, sign sweeping orders, and pardon everyone from Hunter Biden to Anthony Fauci. Now, one Washington Post columnist, Sally Quinn, even went so far as to accuse Jill Biden herself of elder abuse. And Comer agrees. He says, it's not just unethical. It's criminal if Biden's decline was covered up so that others could retain power that they never earned. So, and just when you thought that this could not get any bigger, guys, wait until you hear what James Comer says about the legal fallout. Because if those signatures are fake and Biden wasn't aware of what was being signed, then his entire final phase in office could be ruled illegitimate. So, look. If you're still trading your time for a paycheck and you're thinking someday I'm going to figure this thing out, I want you to ask yourself right now, how many years have already slipped by? How many birthdays, how many vacations, how many quiet mornings with your family have you sacrificed for a job that wouldn't even blink if you disappeared tomorrow? Guys, this is exactly why I built the Liberty Pursuit Network, to help people just like you stop waiting and start building freedom now. So if you're done being underpaid, if you're done being overworked, and you're through with feeling invisible, I want you to click the link in the pinned comment down below or in the description down below as well. Join us in the Liberty Pursuit Network today. Now, if Joe Biden wasn't mentally present, if his staff pushed executive orders through using a mechanical signature, and if all of those orders shaped policy, affected lives, and blocked the next president from acting, then the legal question is, are those orders even legal, right? Well, Congressman James Comer just raised a legal nightmare scenario, and folks, it is a big one. Let me tell you. He says many of Joe Biden's final executive orders were crafted specifically to Trump-proof the government, to make it harder, even impossible, for President Trump to undo the damage in Joe Biden's second term. Can you believe this? Guys, the staffers who pushed these orders weren't subtle about it either. James Comer says they bragged about locking in policies that would block Trump's agenda on energy, immigration, spending, and more. But if Joe Biden didn't knowingly approve these orders, if his Autopen signature was forged or misused, then those very documents could be overturned in court. That includes orders about climate regulations, DEI programs, and get this, expanded federal powers over speech, surveillance, and censorship. And of course, then there's the pardons. Oh, we got to talk about the pardons here, because according to James Comer and the DOJ's Ed Martin, Biden issued 8,000 pardons at the end of his term. Now, we saw how shaky Biden's hands were, right? Do you really think he could have even possibly signed off on 8,000 different pardons? He looked like he had, what does Michael J. Fox have? I think it's like Parkinson's syndrome or something. Anyway, I want you to look at who's on the list here. Hunter Biden, James Biden, Valerie Biden, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and yes, Dr. Anthony Fauci. These were not just last-minute favors. These were preemptive legal shields, many of them tied to controversies that the public still doesn't fully understand. So, the question is this: why pardon them? What are they afraid of? But hang on, guys, because this ain't over. James Comer says the DOJ investigation is just getting started. More subpoenas are coming, more names are being dragged in, and new whistleblowers? Oh yeah, new whistleblowers are already stepping forward. Plus, of course, we got new details from the Jake Tapper book that just confirmed Joe Biden wasn't even in charge. So just when you thought the scandal had peaked, it's actually expanding and fast. So Congressman James Comer, he's not waiting around. He's confirmed that if Joe Biden's doctor, Kevin O'Connor, doesn't comply voluntarily, well, let's just say that a subpoena will hit his office within hours. So no more delays, no more dodging. And that's not all, guys. James Comer also says additional Biden staffers are now being contacted, including names that we've never even heard of before, but who were reportedly involved in the Autopen execution process. That's right, guys. We're not just talking about who gave the order anymore. We're actually talking about the people who physically placed documents under the Autopen and then pressed a button. So James Comer's team, they're building a direct trail from the White House inner circle straight to the forged signatures. And let me tell you, that trail, it's now backed by whistleblowers and a bombshell twist from a mainstream media source. Yes, you heard that right, guys. Even Jake Tapper, the CNN anchor who spent years defending Joe Biden, has now flipped. His new book details exactly who was really controlling the West Wing in the final stretch. And spoiler alert, it wasn't Joe Biden. According to Jake Tapper's reporting, cabinet secretaries were bypassing the president entirely, going straight to Anthony Bernal, Joe Biden's chief of staff, for guidance and for approval. Think about that for a second, okay? The commander-in-chief was being skipped in the chain of command. That's not dysfunction. That is a constitutional breakdown. But there's one moment caught in real time, right? That literally proves how out of control this all became. And it happened just minutes before Donald Trump took the oath of office. So I want to reveal the January 20th shocker, how former President Biden pardoned his entire family while sitting on the inauguration stage. Guys, stick with me because you're not going to believe what was signed and when. And, what you're about to hear, guys, next, this is not a rumor. This is not speculation. This is not theory. It's a moment caught on record, and it's so surreal. Even seasoned reporters couldn't believe it. So on January 20th, just like 20 minutes before President Donald Trump took the oath of office, Joe Biden, still technically president, signed a flurry of last-minute pardons, and not just any pardons. According to Maria Bartiromo and confirmed by James Comer's team, Joe Biden pardoned his immediate family, including Hunter Biden, James Biden, and Valerie Biden, while literally sitting on the inauguration stage. You can't make this up. A man who was mentally checked out by most accounts, who had been absent from the White House for weeks, was suddenly authorizing blanket pardons just minutes before leaving office. And now, with the DOJ investigating whether those pardons were even lawfully signed, it really does beg the question. Did Joe Biden even know what he was signing? Or was somebody else making those final moves for him? Oh, and just when the heat couldn't get any higher, here comes Representative Jasmine Crockett, a Democrat now formally campaigning to replace James Comer as chair of House Oversight Committee. Her plan? Well, not to investigate pardons, of course, not to get to the truth, not to challenge government corruption. No, of course not. Jasmine Crockett's top priority is launching an impeachment inquiry into Trump. You heard that right, guys. So while James Comer is holding Joe Biden and his White House accountable, Jasmine Crockett wants to use her platform to go after Trump again. Guys, James Comer did not hold back. He called her a distraction, said that she never once raised concerns about fraud, spending, or corruption, and reminded voters that Democrats have made it clear they're not interested in oversight. They're interested in vengeance. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why this scandal is exploding beyond politics, because now even legacy media, the same news outlets that once buried stories to protect Biden, they've all walked away. And as James Comer put it, protecting Joe Biden just isn't in style anymore. It's crazy, right? I guess he was trending at one point and now he's not. So the media news outlets have abandoned him. But hold on, because the final part of the story is actually really what ties all of this together. You got Congressman James Comer saying that this isn't just misconduct. It's not just deception. It's not even just illegal. He says it's bigger than Watergate. Now, guys, we need to talk about the big picture here, and more importantly, why President Trump's team may be preparing a historic court challenge to wipe these fake orders off the books. Guys, Watergate shook the nation, but this could shake the foundation of the presidency itself. Congressman James Comer is not mincing words anymore. He's now calling the Biden Autopen scandal the biggest political scandal in presidential history. Bigger than Watergate, bigger than Iran-Contra, bigger than Clinton-Lewinsky. Why? Because this one goes to the heart of the constitutional legitimacy. I mean, guys, we're talking about a sitting president who, based on mounting evidence, may not have been mentally or even physically capable of doing the job. Meanwhile, others allegedly signed his name, issued pardons, and implemented policies on his behalf. And if this is proven to be true, well, it means that the will of the American people was subverted. It means laws were enacted under a false identity. It means pardons were issued to people who were not authorized to do so. So, right? It means also President Trump's new administration could have legal grounds to tear down every one of those fraudulent acts, including the pardons. Let me know if you think Hunter Biden should go to jail, guys. If you do, just drop a jail in the comments down below. Imagine what happens if Trump's legal team steps into court and says, this executive order, fake. This policy, invalid. This pardon, forged. And then backs it all up with DOJ evidence, congressional transcripts, and whistleblower testimony. That's not just cleaning house. That is rewriting the last chapter of a presidency. Guys, we might be witnessing the collapse of a cover-up that the media, the political class, and even parts of Biden's own party tried to bury. But now it's unraveling. It's all unraveling rather fast, if you ask me. And as James Comer puts more names on the subpoena list and the DOJ keeps digging in, one thing is becoming crystal clear. This signature may have said Joseph R. Biden, but the decisions clearly came from somebody else. Now, if you believe the American people deserve the truth, if you believe you should never again allow unelected insiders to run the country behind a puppet president, I want you to do this, guys. I want you to like this video, share, and subscribe, because they want you distracted. They want you staying focused on something else, anything but this. But the fight for truth here, guys, it's just now gotten started. So I really do appreciate your support. And I also want you to comment down below. Should these Biden era orders be invalidated? Should the DOJ prosecute or send the staffers involved to jail? Let me know what you think, guys. We'll see you on the next one.